So you've done the self-help and you've dipped into some personal development, but now you ask the question, now what? What can you do? Well, if you want to escape the apathy, step right this way. So twice a year, I teach a course called AUTONOMY. It's a 12-week personal development and training course. What people get out of it is multifaceted. There's curriculum, there's exercises, there's camaraderie, you make new friends. There's a whole lot of interesting things. We're going to hear a sample from the course right now in its ongoing season. Let's take a look at the value these students are getting.
Can we get more specific? What is it that you're seeking to offer to the market? Do you know yet?
Well, really, it comes down to empowerment and freedom. Think that it's pretty clear that our quote unquote health system is crumbling, to say the least. And reliance on that is only going to end up in a bad place for anyone who is reliant upon that system. So I firmly believe that the less you need that, the better off you're going to be. And that's empowering and that's freedom. So that might be a little too broad, but.
So do you help people that are in that system and on prescription drugs get out of that system? Or do you just work with the people who never want to be part of that system and say, here's other options to the market?
I would probably identify more or resonate more with the latter, but it's really just about the mindset of people are ready when they're ready to move over, and they know when something's not working and they just need the tools to make it work for them.
Yeah, a lot of times when people are tied up in these situations, they just need time. They need some listening time, and they need someone to ask them the right questions. If I sit down with somebody and I know what the right questions are to work through that problem and they don't, I'm in a power position. So what I'm seeking to do is distribute that power to the other person. And I can't do that through declarative sentences. I have to do that by posing questions and then turning it over to their processor for some processing. And sometimes this is where dealing with silence comes into it. Sometimes you can ask someone a question and you can let them sit there for a good minute and they'll think it through and then they'll respond. But if I say, oh, they're thinking, that scares me, let me, a lot of people want to just say, well, they don't recognize, they think they're trying to sell something and this thing's not working. So they just try to throw more words on top of it, when really you need to pose the question, sit back and give them time to think it through, because they've likely never had the time or the place or the occasion to think this through on their own. And this is genuine first time I'm thinking through that thing. And now they come back to an answer. And okay, so we have this answer that they just came up with on their own because they hadn't thought through that answer to the question yet. So now we have this new thing to work with. And what happens if this, oh, well, we can't do that. So then they go back and they make another decision. We bring it forward. What happens if now we get something that survives that next line of questioning? And then you're progressing down toward a plan or something that can actually work. So a lot of times there's iteration back and forth, trying things on, trying things out, these sort of modalities of mind to be able to come to a better conclusion or a judgment or a choice that helps you move forward and attain the result that you're seeking. And so that it seems like a superpower. And people in those meetings, they're like, how do you do this? Asking a question and letting you think about it. That no one else can do that for you, right? So it's this thing you're giving them that only they can give to themselves, and you get to be witness to it over and over again. And then they think you have some superpower. And I say, maybe it is a superpower, listening, because that silence is what creates space for their processor to work. And if we keep filling it with words, the processors keep, it does the input, it's inputting and not processing. So we need input, processing, and then we can have good outputs that are what we want. But a lot of people go straight from the input to the output without the processing. And that's not freedom. So helping people get back to freedom, as you were saying you wanted to do, is all about helping them get to the point where they can process and actually achieve their own outcomes and choices. And that's why many times in a sales situation, they say the best technique is having the client come up with that idea for themselves, because then you don't have to sell it to them. And the way you can do that is by painting out the picture through not the picture itself, but the questions that form the frame of the picture. And once people have a frame, they can fill it in. But until you frame it out with those questions, they don't really know what to do with their processor. Does that translate?
Yeah, and actually, part of the magic of healing is that the questions themselves, the answers to those questions are healing, it turns out, with a lot of people who have whatever issue, it doesn't matter, talking it out, answering the questions that they didn't even know needed to be asked is part of the process of healing. And a lot of people just need to tell their story.
Well,
So
right. And so to that point, much of healing occurs from the inside out. Look, I got the wrong lower third up for this gig. Healing occurs from the inside out. So does that mean like outside in is people telling you stuff and then you heal from that? No, people asking you things and you get your inside out, right? So healing comes from the inside out, whether it's food, nutrition, some sort of herbal medicine, these sort of things, right? Because you're putting things into your body and then you're healing from the inside out. Or it's getting ideas out of your head and expressing yourself and actually doing this process from the inside out. Because dis-ease comes first off, are you at ease? Because if you're not at ease in this place and you're always tense and your cortisol's pumping all the time and your adrenaline's pumping all the time, you are going to have dis-ease. So I think a big key hallmark of health is first understanding yourself and keeping yourself balanced inside, and then now keep your balance with the external world a lot more in check as well. It's not gonna be perfect. Nobody's perfect, right? But the idea is to be conscious of these things and to have command and control when you want to over these things, and to be able to assert ourselves more consistently in a disciplined manner so we can get the results we want.
Everyone's doing some kind of self-help these days, and you can find a million self-help courses out there. Most other courses out there are hosting lectures, they're hosting videos, they're maybe even doing Q&As, and these are great starting points to encourage learning. But at AUTONOMY, we believe that hands-on practice is the best way to really lock in what we're learning. There's no better way to gain confidence and mastery than through action. After each lecture, we practice the concepts we've learned with other students, giving and receiving feedback in a non-judgmental environment. The result is mastery of concepts like entrepreneurship, ethical sales, and self-reliance in an environment that directly translates to the real world. Plus, you make connections with other like-minded individuals who are learning right alongside you, and you have a lifetime membership in the community. The AUTONOMY course with Richard Grove equips you with confidence, competence, and courage in a world filled with confusion and noise. You can learn more at getautonomy.info. We'll see you there.